Oh hi. Athens, the capital of Greece, is located in the historic area of Attica and is the economic, cultural and administrative center of the country. The city is called in honor of the goddess of war and wisdom Athens, who was a patron of the ancient policy. Athens has rich history. During the classical period, the 5th century BB, the city-state reached top of the development, having defined many trends of development of the latest European culture. Names of philosophers: Socrates, Plato and Aristotle, who laid the foundation of the European philosophy; tragedians Aeschylus, Sophocles and Euripides, standing at the origins of the drama, are connected with the city. Democracy was a political system of ancient Athens. The area of the territory of city agglomeration -412 km. This territory is surrounded with mountains: Aegolia, Parnus, Pendulicon and Ametos. Total number of the population of city agglomeration is 1/3 from the total number of the population of Greece, and is, according to a census of 2011, 3,090,508 people. Thus, population density of city agglomeration -7,500 people on 1 km. Downtown height above sea level is 20 meters, while the relief of the territory of the city is very different, with plains and mountains. About origin of the name there are several hypotheses. One of them goes back to the myth that a name of the goddess of wisdom, Athena, the city received after Athena's dispute with the lord of the seas, Poseidon. The first legendary czar of Athens, Kekros, who was half a person half a dragon, had to solve someone will be a patron of the city. Two gods, Athena and Poseidon, had to give a gift to the city and its citizens, and the one someone will give the best gift became the patron of the city. Then before Kekros the first, Poseidon struck with the trident, and immediately from the earth I hammered a source. Greece, the country hot, mountain, water is necessary there, but it was sea, salty. After blow Athens, the small olive tree grew from the earth. Citizens were impressed with a gift Athens and chose it as the patron of the city. Thus Athens also took a name of the great goddess. But as the city didn't choose Poseidon, in Athens water began not to be enough. This shortage is felt to this day. Athens was the large and powerful city, one of cradles of the Greek culture. At the time of the golden age of Greece, about 500 BB to 300 BB, the city became the important cultural center. After the golden age, Athens didn't lose the value up to blossoming of the Roman Empire. Philosophical schools were closed in 529 by the emperor of the Byzantine Empire, Justinian I. In 200 years before, in the Byzantine Empire, the Christianity was appointed official religion. Athens lost former greatness and turned into the country town. Between the 13th and 15th century, the Byzantine, French and Italian knights from the Latin Empire applied for the city. The last at the beginning of the 13th century formed the Athenian Duchy. In 1458 Turks occupied the city, and it became a part of the Ottoman Empire. The population of the city was reduced in connection with deterioration in living conditions after falling of the empire. Many districts of the city, including ancient buildings, were destroyed within the 17th, 19th centuries, and the city was controlled by several groups. Adversely, also frequent wars between Turkey and the Venetian Republic during this period affected Athens. So, during storm of the city by troops of the Venetian general Francesco Morosini on September 22, 1687 by the artillery of Venetians destroyed Parthenon. In 1833 Athena proclaimed the capital of the new created kingdom Greece. For the time 5,000 people lived in the city. In 1834 in Athens there arrived the new Greek king Otten Bavarsky. The young king had ambitions to build up the city and to return in former greatness. Invited in Athena, Leo von Klenz and Theophil von Hansen built several main streets in neoclassical style, including Syntagma Square, the Athenian University, National Park, Showroom, Zappeion. In 1896 at the restored Panathinaikos Stadium built from continuous marble the first modern Olympic Games are held. At the beginning of the 20th century archaeological and restoration works were sped up. In the 1920th years the population of the city grew to 2 million people, according to Greek-Turkish contract on exchange of the population. The Athenians and their descendants expelled by Ottomans from Asia Minor in large quantities returned home. Under the London and Bucharest peace treaties of 1913 signed by results of the Balkan Wars of 1912-1913, Greece almost doubled the territory and the population, and Athens took the worthy place among the European capitals soon. During World War II Athens occupied the German troops. However, after the war in Athens, as well as in Greece in general, the period of the accelerated development which lasted till 1980 years when the problem of overpopulation of the capital and a problem of transport have for the first time in effect begun. The entry of Greece into the EU in 1981 brought to Athens not only enormous investments, but also a number of urbanistic problems. During the 90s the city authorities successfully introduced modern measures for fight against smog. As a result in the city, the smog doesn't appear even at air temperature above 40 degrees Celsius today. The transport situation improved with reconstruction existing and creation of new highways a little, and on the eve of the Olympic Games of 2004, a new branch of the subway. Modern Athens, the megalopolis with antique monuments, world famous of nightlife and shopping centers of the highest level. In 2004 the 28th Summer Olympic Games were held here. In December 2008 in Athens, Massachusetts riots which quickly captured all Greece and stirred up the whole Europe flashed. Murder of the 16-year-old teenager by the patrolman of the Athenian police became on December 6 a reason for expansion of Massachusetts protests which quite often developed into riots and disorders. In 2010 Athens became one of the main centers of Massachusetts actions of civil disobedience and nationwide strikes as protest minds crisis response measures of the government. In the city the wireless internet network works. Climate of Athens, the Mediterranean climate. Classification of climates of Kiapan. Sieka. In the winter occasionally there are frosts, snow sometimes drops out. Some are very hot and droughty. Frosts during the period from April to November are excluded. A little considerable rainfall can be absent several months. Thanks to influence of the Mediterranean Sea fall very long, and the spring comes a little later. Athens is located on the Athenian plain in Attica, which is surrounded with Mount Aegaleio from the west, by Poikilan from the northwest, Parnus from the north, Pendulicon from the northeast, and Amytisum from the east. Also is washed by Saronic Gulf from the southwest. Athens occupied all plain and continues to grow at the expense of the western Attica and Mesagi plain in East Attica. Constantly suburbs on the outskirts of the city, and today Pallini, the city in the east of Attica extend, is east outskirts of the city, Iostephanos, the northeast outskirts, Akarni, northern, Anuliosia, the northwest outskirts, Muscaton, western, and Varia, the southern outskirts of Athens. The city is divided by the river Kaphisos, which flows down from the Pendulicon array, Parnus, flows into the Bay Phalar and Saronic Gulf, and separates Piraeus from the rest of Athens.
Features of the area and placement of Athens quite often cause effect of temperature inversion, which is responsible for the increased air pollution.
Los Angeles has similar location and intensity of the movement that leads to the same problems. The soil, stony and poor, consists of the Athenian slate and limestone.
Now in Athens 3 rivers flow.
Elissos with inflow Aridon and Picrodaphne. On the southeast outskirts there is a lake Viliagmini. The population of the metropolitan district of Athens makes on a census of 2011 3,753,783 persons. And also about card-changeably living immigrants. This more than a third of the population of all Greece. The center of ancient Athens was located around the Acropolis, occupied the areas of Tisio and Plaka. These areas are the tourist downtown, together with Syntagma Square, the region of Kolonaki and Hillikovat today. Monastiriki is the largest shopping area of the city and the center of tourism. The center of the modern city is Syntagma Square, where the royal palace, Hellenic Parliament, and many buildings of the 19th century are located. Within 3 years after World War II, a large number of multi-storied buildings which make a modern picture of the city was built here. The old building of the Athenian University, located on Panopistemi Avenue, is one of the most stylish in the city, along with National Library of Greece and the Athenian Academy. These 3 buildings, known as the Athenian Trilogy, are built in the 19th century. At the same time, educational activity was transferred to the campus of Zagrafou. Also large educational institutions are the Athenian Polytechnical University, one of the largest in Europe, and the Athenian University of Economy and Business. Still in the early 90s, the Minister of Culture of Greece, Malina Mercouri, ordered a research on integration of all archaeological sites in Athens. At the beginning of the old years, the region of Ira-Odos at the bottom of the Acropolis and the areas of Plaka, Syria and Tisio became pedestrian zones. In June 2010, the acting Minister of Culture of Greece, Tina Babili, presented the project of a closing stage on unification of the historic center of the city.
Thanks to reorganization of Queen Olga Avenue, pedestrian zones will connect Showroom, Sapien, and National Gardens to Zeus Olympiskis Temple. The pedestrian message, with a total length of 4 km from Panathinaikos Stadium with Keramik, Hazi Square, will be complete. Project cost is €4 million. The long-term plan of development of the region Athens Attica 2014 is presented, that provides also the ban of growth of the urbanized zone,
improvement of transport infrastructure and the general improvement of the housing and municipal sphere in the areas of Ios Pantalaimonas, Tetralno Ploshadidi colon. The highest capital among modern architectural construction since 1971 there is the Athenian Tower 1, which at the time of a construction was the highest building of the Balkan region, the only skyscraper of Greece. Athens became the capital of Greece in 1834, having replaced Nathlion, who served as the temporary capital of the country since 1829 in the first years of independence. Besides, Community Athens, the capital of the decentralized administration of Attica, the Periphery Attica and peripheral unit the Central Athens. The name Athens can be carried to Community to Athens, Big Athens and the Athenian city agglomeration. Community Athens. The most densely populated community of Greece with the population of 664,046 people on a census of 2011 living on the square of the city in 38.964 km. The acting mayor. Athens, Kostas Bakoyannis. The community is divided into 7 communities. However, informal division of the city into historic districts, such as Plaka, Monastiriki, Kolonaki, Petrolona, Pangrati, Ambalokipi, Elysia, Zographos, Exarchia and others remains.
Athena's community is a kernel and the center of Big Athens, which consists of Community of Athens and 34 more communities divided into 4 peripheral units.
Central Athena, Northern Athena, Western Athena, Yushni Athena. Volshik Athens square minus 361 km. Total number of the population is, according to a census of 2011, 2,641,511 people.
Population density minus 7,317.2 persons on 1 km.
Until the end of 2010 these communities made Athena's number. However, the actual number of residents of Athens considerably exceeds this figure, as here thousands of students and workers from other cities of Greece gather. Several hundreds of thousands are made by repatriates of countries of Eastern Europe and immigrants of Albania, Pakistan, which have no opportunity to be registered in the place of full-time residence. Considering this uncertainty concerning population, different sources refer to figure about 5 million people living in Athens. Since ancient times the city which grew around the Piraeus port developed separately from the capital. However, in the last decades Piraeus quickly grew together with so-called Big Athens.
At this stage there is also an expansion of the city in east and northeast directions that isn't least caused constructed at the beginning of the 21st century by the international airport, Eleftherios Venizelos, and the highway of Attica Odos which penetrates all Attica.
Famous citizens of ancient Athens. Tasu, one of the first ancient Tsars of Athens in the 13th century BB, the legendary founder of the city. Dragon, the Athenian legislator of the 7th century BB.
Solon, the legislator and the poet of the beginning of the 6th century BB, one of 7 wise men.
Pisistrat, the tyrant of Athens governing in the middle of the 6th century BB. Phlyson is a politician and the reformer of the 6th century BB, the founder of the Athenian democracy. Miltiades Mladshi is the commander. The 5th century BB. The winner of Persians in fight at the Marathon. Themistocles is the commander. The 5th century BB. The winner of Persians in fight at Salamin. Aristides Pravedlivy is a commander and a politician. The 5th century BB. The winner of Persians in fight at Platyoch. Timon is a commander and a politician. The 5th century BB. Thucydides is a historian, the founder of historical science. Phidias is a sculptor and the architect. Pericles is a politician, the head of Athens in the 5th century BB. Sophocles is a poet and the playwright, the tragedian. Socrates is a philosopher of the end of the 5th century BB, the founder of Socratic schools in philosophy. Miron is a sculptor of the 5th century BB. Alcibiade is a commander and a politician, the leader of Athens in war mined Sparta. Antisthenes is a philosopher, Socrates' pupil, the ancestor and the chief theorist of Achanism. Aristophanes is a satirist and the comedy dramatist nicknamed the father of the comedy. Xenophon is a writer, the philosopher and the historian, Socrates' pupil. Platon is a philosopher, Socrates' pupil and Aristotle's teacher. Demosthenes is a politician, the famous speaker. Epicurus is a philosopher, the founder of an Epicurism. Menander is a comedy dramatist, the largest master of the new Attic comedy. Tiridatic is a politician, the speaker and the largest patron of the time. The first Roman consul of the Greek origin. Famous natives of the Byzantine and post-Byzantine Athens. Kodratafinsky. -130. The Saint Apostle and the Hieromartyr, one of apostles from 70. Higin. Pope. -140. The Bishop of Rome from 136 to 140 year. Plutarch Afinsky is a philosopher Neoplatonic of the 5th century AD. Lanik Halkakandil. 1423-1490. Is the famous Byzantine historian. Dmitri Halkakandil. 1424-1511. Is Greek and then Italian, the humanist, the scientist, the philosopher and the writer of Renaissance. Demetrius. 1760-1833. Is a philosopher, the most famous Greek Indianist of the last centuries, a half of the life lived in India where he died. Rapid economic growth of Athens began with the second half of the 19th century, after the end of the Greek Revolution and final formation of the Greek state. Transformation of Athens into the capital, emergence of the industrial enterprises made the city the center of urbanization processes of Greece.
The favorable economical geographical location of the city in which the trunk overland mains of the country connect to with maritime routes acts as a favorable factor. Exactly here important railway ways are crossed, the Sea Gate of Greece, the Piraeus port, and the Eleftherios Venizelos airport having the international value. Growth of the population of the city was promoted also by a flow of refugees after the Greek-Turkish War of 1919-1922.
In Big Athens, more than 50% occupied in manufacturing industry of the country are concentrated. At the same time, the industry of the capital consumes about 80% of all made electric energy and gives about 70% of the all Greek industrial output. In Big Athens, the enterprises textile, sewing, skin and shoe, food, metalworking and metallurgical, chemical, printing and other industries are based. In the neighborhood of Athens, industrial facilities of post-war years, Aspropyrgos refinery, refinery to Aspropyrgos, Hellenic shipyards, shipyard in Skarmangas, steelworks in Elefsin, etc. are allocated. Athens, the largest trade and distribution and financial center of the country, in particular, in Athens is annually processed more than 2.5 million tons of oil. Through Big Athens passes up to 70% of import and 40% of export of Greece. In Athens, the largest banking institutions of Greece, Bank of Greece, the National Bank of Greece, Amporiki Bank, Piraeus Bank, etc. are based. At the end of 2009, the economy of Athens, as well as Greece in general, got into very difficulties. The program of crisis response measures of the government of Georgios Papandreou caused a wave of nationwide strikes. For 2010, Athens remains the main cell of almost continuous nationwide strikes, disorders and terrorist attacks. In 2017, the economy of Greece began to come to life. The volume of direct foreign investments to Greece, according to the official agency Enterprise Greece of Greece, grew by 30% in comparison with 2016 and reached €3.6 billion. The GDP of Greece grows the fourth quarter in a row and, according to forecasts of the European Commission, the Greek economy will continue to grow in 2018 and 2019 for 2.5% a year. The located income per capita, according to the estimates of the European Central Bank, EC, in 2017 grew for the first time in 5 years. It is possible to get to the city of Athens 2 roads. National Athena Highway, Lamia, who enters the city from the north, and National Athena Highway, Corinth, which conducts on the city west. Athens is also available through Piraeus, Rafina and Lavrion port. Also, the modern international airport of Athens was opened for Eleftherios Venizelos. It is the first and still only Greek city in which the subway works. The system of public transport in Athens consists of trolleybuses, buses and also rail transport. The subway, local electric trains and trams. All public transport in Athens is equipped with conditioners. The Athenian subway, one of the most modern in the world today. It consists of 3 lines which on cards are designated in different flowers. The green line, the oldest in the modern subway, is also used for communication of Piraeus and Kifisia, through the center of Athens. 2 other lines were under construction in the 90s the 20th century and were started in 2000. These lines pass only underground, at a depth of 20 m and average width of a tunnel of 9 meters. The blue line connects Egolio to the airport, and red connects Elleniko to Infopoli. The Athenian tram is the high-speed type of transport, moves to within a minute as the subway. At the tram only 3 branches. One of them goes along the seashore from Philiro, near Piraeus, to Vula. Another, branching off from the first in the area of the Eden Beach, goes to the downtown to Syntagma Square. the third goes to the downtown to Syntagma Square from Vula. Thereby streetcar service creates similarity of Shamrock. The airport is to the east from Athens, near Sparta, and is connected with the city, the highway, the railroad and the line of the subway. 2 highways in Athens. Athens, Patras. And Athens, Thessaloniki. UE. And also an external ring. Attica. Which connects these roads, beginning at Alephsis and coming to an end at the international airport. Sites: Acropolis of Athens, Tower of Winds, Dionysus Theatre, Lycovit, Jared's Oduomatica, Athenian Agora, Zeus Olympiskis Temple, Areopagus, Costing Atel, Adrian's Library, Hephaestus' Temple, Panathinaikos Stadium. In Athens there are unique monuments of the national fine arts. In the Museum of the Acropolis and the National Archaeological Museum, the sculpture, especially the antiquity period, is well presented. Also there is a masterpiece plastics 5th century BB, the bronze image of Zeus, bas-reliefs of Nask of the classical period, and a huge collection of ancient Greek ceramics 3, the 2nd millennia BB.
Monuments to a medieval iconography and art trade are collected in the Byzantine Museum.
The rich collection of ethnographic materials and folk art is presented in the Historical and Ethnographic Museum Banaki. In general, in Athens more than 200 museums and private galleries, among the largest of them work. Archaeological Museum Ceramics, Byzantine and Christian Museum, National Archaeological Museum, National History Museum, Theatrical Museum, Museum of the Acropolis, Museum of the Ancient Agora, Museum Eleftherios Venizelosa, Museum of the Greek Folk Art, Museum of the Greek Children's Creativity, Museum of the Greek National Musical Instruments, Museum of Islamic Art, Museum of History of the University of Athens, Museum Kanaloupoulosa, Museum of Kykladsky Art, Museum Banaki, Museum of the City of Athens, New Museum of the Acropolis, Museum of Numismatics, Children's Museum, Museum of War, Railway Museum, Museum of Mail, the Olympia Ships Museums, reconstruction of an ancient Greek trirema, and Giorgio Zavarov, the armored cruiser, in the Athenian suburb Phaler. Athens has long sports traditions, the most popular sports soccer and basketball. Twice the city hosted the modern Olympic Games, in 1896 and 2004.
Summer Olympic Games 2004 inspired on expansion and modernization of the Athenian Olympic complex, which gained reputation of one of the most beautiful complexes in the world. At his stadium, the largest stadium in Greece, 2 Champions League finals of OEA, in 1994 and 2007 were spent. The second largest stadium of the country is located in Piraeus, Karaiskakis Stadium. He accepted a cup final of owners of OEA Cups of 1971. Also in Athens there took place matches of basketball EuroLeague 3 times. The first time in 1985. The second in 1993 at the Stadium of the World and Friendship, better known as SEF, one of the largest and the most attractive covered arenas in Europe.
and for the third time in 2007 on the Olympic Indoor Stadium. In the capital of Greece there took place also large number of actions in other sports, such as track and field athletics, volleyball, water polo, etc. Since 1972 in Athens annually there passes the Athenian Classical Marathon awarded the gold status of International Association of Athletics Federations.
In January 2011 the Association of the International Marathons and Runs signed the agreement with the Ministry of Culture and Tourism of Greece, according to which she transfers the headquarters to Athens.
In Athens 3 prestigious multi-sports clubs work. Olympiacos, Panathinaikos and AEK, football divisions of these clubs form P.O.K. Association.
Formed after in 1972, clubs according to the mutual arrangement decided not to take part in national championship because of a dispute with the Greek Football Federation over financial questions.
Throughout all season clubs participated only in friendly matches with each other.
The basketball gained popularity in Greece after receiving by Club AEK of the Cup of Owners of Cups of 1968. The second wave of rise was caused by victories in the European Basketball Championship of 1987 and especially 2005.
Panathinaikos, the 5-time champion. 1996, 2000, 2002, 2007, 2009. EuroLeague and Olympiacos, triple. 1997, 2012, 2013.
So, among professional basketball clubs there are capitals the most known.
Olympiacos, Panathinaikos, AEK, Panionios, Panellinios, Maroussa. On June 23, 1894 in Sorbonne the first Congress of the International Olympic Committee, which was called by the Baron Pierre de Coubertin, took place. On his plan, the first modern Olympic Games had to be held in 1900 in Paris along with the World Fair. However, the Greek translator invited to the Congress with the report on traditions of the antique Olympic Games, and the writer Demetrios Vikelas made the proposal to hold the Olympic Games in Athens that would symbolize continuity of games.
The Congress supported this idea and chose Vikelas as the first president of the International Olympic Committee because according to the charter only the representative of the country hosting the Olympic Games could take this place. The acting Prime Minister of Greece, Harolis Trikoupis, was ready sharply negatively concerning Coubertin's idea.
He considered necessary expenses for preparation and holding such grandiose action very heavy for the state. However, the King George I supported this idea and asked for the help large Greek industrialists and businessmen, and Trikoupis, eventually, was forced to resign. So, at the expense of Georgios Avaroff, the Panathinaikos Stadium, the main arena of competitions, was completely restored and repaired. Funds for organizational actions for holding games and for construction of showroom Zapian were provided by Evangelos Zappis. Holding the Olympic Games of 1906, the first additional Olympic Games, was planned by the AAK for 1901. As a compromise on Coubertin's refusal of the idea to organize all Olympic Games in Athens, the AAK offered the new schedule which provided holding the additional Olympic Games in the period between the official Olympic Games, and Athens forever was defined by the capital of additional games. The additional Olympic Games of 1906 were extremely successful, unlike official games 1900, 1904 or 1908 of years, as they didn't stretch for monthly term against the background of other events.
These games were also the first modern Olympic Games which participating athletes have to be registered through the IOC. For the first time, opening of games was carried out as a separate ceremony, during which also for the first time national teams of member countries passed stadium with national flag. This tradition remained to this day.
Athens won the right to become the capital of the Olympic Games 2004 against Rome, having gained 66 points minus 44. That was fixed by the decision of the IOC of September 5, 1997 in Lausanne.
Within the first 3 years of preparation, the International Olympic Committee repeatedly expressed concern about rates of construction works on some new Olympic platforms.
In 2000, the president of the organizing committee was appointed January Angelopoulos Daskalaki, and it was from this point continued to prepare at reckless speed. Despite heavy expenses which made about $1.5 billion and criticized by some Greek authorities, Athens for only several years was turned into one of the most modern cities of the world, especially in the field of transport infrastructure. Games were welcomed by more than 1,000 athletes from all 202 member countries. More than 3.5 million tickets were sold. It is the second indicator of attendance of games for all their modern history, on which Athens conceded only to Sydney, where the Olympic Games of 2000 were visited by over 5 million viewers. Also far. Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. All of good mood and good luck.